us tonight. Al Sharpton and the grievous industry strike back. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Last week, we told you that one of the big reasons Trayvon Martin lost his life was that George Zimmerman feared the image he projected that night in Florida. His clothing, his presence. Zimmerman profiled Martin, and disaster followed. The anger this case has engendered is understandable. If Trayvon Martin was my son, I'd be doing exactly what his parents are doing. But out of tragedy can come something positive, and that is why Talking Points is urging the civil rights folks to stop maligning the country and face up to a huge problem that is directly harming millions, primarily in the African American community. Young black Americans are the most violent group in this country by far. The reason is the collapse of the traditional African American family unit. 50 years ago, when blacks had it much worse than they have it now, 25% of black babies were born out of wedlock. Today, the number is close to 75%. That is catastrophic. But the civil rights industry and the white power structure basically ignore the problem. They also ignore the entertainment industry, putting out vile products aimed at young people, some of whom incorporate the gangsta culture into their own lives. On Thursday, we told you that Al Sharpton, now in business with a company that distributes garbage like Lil Wayne. While Sharpton says he's concerned with the state of black culture, his upcoming book will be marketed by a company, Cash Money Content, that debases this country. In response to my analysis, Sharpton took to the air and did what he usually does. He attacked the messenger, implying that I am racist.
Why is Bill O'Reilly talking about the African American family? It's hard to take much of this race talk seriously. I took Bill to Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem for dinner in 2007. Here's how he described it afterward.
There wasn't one person in Sylvia's who was screaming, MFer, I want more iced tea.
Please.
You know, I mean, everybody was, it was like going into an Italian restaurant in an all-white suburb, in the sense of people were sitting there and they were ordering and having fun, and there wasn't any kind of craziness at all.
Well, that sounds kind of patronizing, right? What Sharpton and a number of others on MSNBC did was take the radio clip from 2007 completely out of context. Here was my setup to the Sylvia's comment, something the dishonest Sharpton would never run.
Black people in this country understand that they've had a very, very tough go of it. And some of them can get past that, and some of them cannot. I don't think there's a black American who hasn't had a personal insult that they've had to deal with because of the color of their skin. I don't think there's one in the country. So you got to accept that as being the truth.
Does that sound anti-black to you? I continued my theme that despite racial injustice in the past, we're all Americans with much in common. And the marketplace is now reflecting that. I illustrated that point by talking about my dinner with Sharpton at Sylvia's restaurant.
You know, when Sharpton and I walked in, it was like big commotion and everything, but everybody was very nice. And I couldn't get over the fact that there was no difference between Sylvia's restaurant and any other restaurant in New York City. I mean, it was exactly the same. Even though it's run by blacks, primarily black patronship, it was the same. And that's really what the society is all about now here in the USA. There's no difference. There's no difference.
Quite a different tone. Sharpton and others are attacking me because I am a threat to them. They have failed to deal effectively with problems in the black community, and they make a lot of money by promoting racial division. Huffing indignant, Sharpton wrapped up his assault on me this way.
We don't just want to single out one person, but we do want to set the record straight, and we're not going to allow them to decide the conversation that we're going to have in this country.
So who's we, Al? Who's we? Who's them? Talking Points believes the day of the race hustlers is coming to an end. This we and them business gets the country nowhere. Fair-minded Americans well understand there are severe problems in the black community that have to be solved, and it will take honest, courageous people to do that. One of those honest people, CNN anchor Don Lemon, who referenced my talking points on his program.
He's got a point. In fact,
he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too, but in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough.
Mr. Lemon then went on to list things that African Americans should do to combat social problems. After his remarks, Mr. Lemon was predictably attacked by the race hustlers. But his courage stands in stark contrast to their ignorance and corruption. As for Al Sharpton, we will leave with him saying this.
Is Bill O'Reilly saying George Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin because Trayvon was born out of wedlock, even though he wasn't? That's ridiculous, right?
Ridiculous? You bet, Al. Your day is done. And that's a memo.